Okay, so today we're going to be talking about time, and the conversions in time basically the same as the conversions that we've been doing. So let's talk about a rule of thumb. That means just a rule that is always true. Ready? 60 is the rule of thumb. 60. So your rule of thumb is 60. Everything goes by the number 60. All right? Oh, I can't write it up there, so I'm just going to write it down here. 60. Very, very important. Why? Because there's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, so the entire clock is based around the number 60. Now, when we tell time, we use the minute hand, which is the long black hand. This long black hand is the minute hand. We use the hour hand, which is this short black hand. See, it's shorter, much shorter. It only touches the 10. This one goes way past the 1. So the short hand is the hours. And the skinny little red hand is a special hand. That one is just the seconds. Usually we don't use seconds to tell time, but it does help us time ourselves. That's how I would time you when we were in the classroom. So, let's go over how to tell time. Well, we start with the hour hand. This one is pointed at 10, and if it's a little after 10, around here, all right, that's still 10. Only when it hits 11 for the hour hand and 12 for the minute hand does it change to 11 o'clock. So this is 10 o'clock because it's right here, right about at the 10, and just after the 10 is 10 o'clock. So I'm going to write 10. 10 is my hour. It's 10, and then here is that minute hand. And remember we said each one of these is 1 minute. Each one of these is 1 minute. So I can count how many jumps I have to do. So I have to do 1 jump, 2, 3, 4, 5 to get to 1, but it's not quite at 1. 6, 7. It looks like it's at 7 minutes because I had to do 2 jumps after 1, and there's each one of these from 12 to 1 is 5, 10, 15, 20, like that. But we were in between, so we were 2 notches in between. And how many seconds are we at? 0 seconds because it's at 12. So it would be 0 seconds. So it is currently 10. You always put when there's a single digit number, you got to put a 0 in front. It's 10:07 and 0 seconds. It's 10:07. It's 10, and this one is 07 because we're not quite into the tens yet. So 10:07 is the time on this clock. Now the question is, how many seconds are in a minute? We have our rule of thumb, 60. 60 seconds in a minute. How many minutes are in 1 hour? 60. Rule of thumb, 60. All right. How many seconds are there in 1 hour? How many seconds are there in 1 hour? Well, here's what you would have to do. There's 60 seconds in a minute, right? 60 seconds in a minute. And there's 60 minutes in an hour. So we would have to multiply. And we would get 6 times 6 is 36. And 2 zeros at the end. Excuse the fact that this writing is getting smaller. It's just kind of difficult to use this computer like this, but that's okay. All right, now why are we doing this? What does it matter that there's 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and that you learn how to tell time? Well, there are a couple reasons that it's really important. First of all, you can determine how many minutes or how many seconds you would need to spend on something based on the number of hours, and I'll show you what I mean. Remember, I love charts, so I'm going to make a chart. So here's hours, and here is minutes. All right. Now, in 1 hour, we know there's 60 minutes, right? Well, how about in 2 hours? Well, we just do 60 minutes times 2. That would be 120 minutes. That's a lot of minutes. How about in 3? 3 hours. You would have to multiply again to get 180 because it's there we go. Because it's just 60 plus 60 is 120 plus another 60, 0 plus 0, 0, 6, just like that. All right. So now we have this. Now let's ask this question, right? Here's a question that somebody might ask you. So if this girl spent 2 hours, let's say Maggie spent 2 hours on a science project, and Jim, let's move this over and make this much smaller, spent 200 hours on his. Who spent more time on their project? So here's a question that they might ask. This girl Maggie spent 2 hours, right here, on a science project, and Jim spent 200 hours on his. Who spent more time? I mean, if you want to prove to your friend that you spent more time, but you only timed it in minutes, you got to be able to convert. Well, this girl spent 2 hours. 200 isn't even on this chart. So who spent more time? It would probably be, where is his name? Jim. Jim, because 200 is way more than the 2 hours, which is 120. All right? Now, let's try another one. Let's do years and months. Let's do years and months. All right? Let me move this over a little bit. Years and months. One year is 12 months. So, when you say it's your birthday, that means from, let's say your birthday is August 5th to the next August 5th, it's 12 months. 12 months is 1 year, all right? Now, let's say, how many is 4 months? 4 years. All right. Now, I want to know if 1 year is 12 months, how many is 4 years? Well, we've been doing this, so this is actually pretty easy. To get from 1 to 4 using multiplication, what do we have to do? 1 times what makes 4? 4. 1 times 4 makes 4. Now, what about on this side? You multiply the same thing by 4. Then you do 12 times 4. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. 48 months. Sure is hard to write on this computer. 48 months. All right? And now you can compare. If you make a chart the same way we did before, right? Let's make this chart. All right, so 1 year we know is 12 months. We just did 4 years, 48 months. 12 times 2 is 24. 12, let's do it here, times 3 is 6 and 3. Right? So now we have this chart. Now let's say somebody asks you this question. Let's say Let's say this is our question. So Bill has a baby, and his baby is 32 months old, and Lisa's baby is 2 years old. All right, well, let's get out our pen and circle the numbers. So we have 2 years old right there, and we have 32 months old, which is somewhere over here, but not quite anywhere particularly. Whose baby is older? So if 2 months is 24, or 2 years is 24 months, and the other baby is 32, who's older? The one who has 24 months on Earth, or the one who has 32 months on Earth? It looks like it's 32, because 32 is way bigger than 24. So that's another question that you can ask, and you could do the same thing. Now, knowing that, you can figure out how many months old you are. So let's take a look. Most of you are 10 years old, right? Let's do this in a different marker. Most of you are 10 years old, right? And we know that there's 12 months in a year. So 10 times 12, you are 120 months old. Pretty neat. What about me? I am 24 and I am 12 months old. Not 12 months. There's 12 months in a year. So if I were to do that and multiply, I would wind up getting 288 after all is said and done. So I'm just a little older than you guys in months. And that is what we would use that for. So your homework, your worksheet is going to be very, very similar, and you're going to do a fantastic job on it. And if you have any questions, let me know, and I will leave the conversions. I will leave the conversions on your worksheet so that you can convert and remember. But you should probably know that 1 year is 12 months, and you should probably know how many seconds and minutes there are in an hour. So you should probably work on kind of memorizing that, because it will also help you to tell time later on. All right? Well, see you guys later.